Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Almost There, a twisted tale novel here on Disney Magic Zach. We're up to chapter 30. This is episode 31 of this story, and things are getting interesting. So let's dive into it. As the boat bobbed along the bayou, Tiana tried her best to get some sleep. It should have been easy enough after her eventful morning, but her mind was too keyed up to allow her body to get the rest she needed. Facilier's threat consumed her. What if he made good of it on his promise to harm her family? Was he sending those shadowy figures to hurt her daddy right now? Was her mother safe? Would he do something to the restaurant, like set it on fire, the way he'd most likely done to Rudy Davis's band instruments? What about Mr. Salvaggio? He still hadn't turned up, and Tiana couldn't help wondering if Facilier was behind his disappearance. The unknown was as frightening as the little she did know when it came to what that awful man could do. Who knew what else he had up his sleeve, or how long he planned to torment her with his requests? He could very well demand she be at his beck and call for the rest of her life. She said a fervent prayer that Marody would help her find a solution to this mess she'd gotten herself into. Tiana gave up on the idea of getting any sleep, but kept her eyes closed. It was safe to make Naveen think she was resting, so he wouldn't turn that charismatic charm on her again. She had been through this before with him, nestled in the coziness of this very same bayou. She remembered all too well what it was like to listen to his soothing voice as he talked about anything and everything. It was there where she'd fallen in love with him. Talking with him earlier had brought back such fond memories she was afraid for a moment that he'd also remembered. But it also called to mind what she'd been forced to give up when she agreed to the conditions of Facilier's deal last year. For just a moment, China allowed her mind to wander to that ideal fantasy world, a world where she had her restaurant, her daddy, and Naveen, where she didn't have to worry about any harm coming to her family, where she could live out her days cooking scrumptious meals for the people of New Orleans and dancing to sweet jazz music in Naveen's arms. The world she currently lived in was far from that ideal fantasy she so often conjured up in her dreams. In this world, everything came with a cost. Despite the troubling thoughts that continued to invade her mind, Tiana managed to drift into a fitful slumber. She couldn't have been sleeping for more than a half hour when a disquieting sensation rushed through her. She woke up with a start and found Lewis's manning the boat. "Oh no, Lewis!" Tiana spoke through clenched teeth. "What are you doing driving?" She looked around. "And where are we? This doesn't look familiar to me at all." "He said he knew a shortcut," Naveen said from the starboard side of the boat. "A shortcut?" Tiana asked. Why had she let them talk her into allowing them to come along? She should have stuck to her original plan and taken this boat out by herself. She had certain milestones she remembered that would have guided her directly to Marodi's. She had no idea where they were now. They could be heading back towards New Orleans for all she could tell. "Lewis, tell me you know what you're doing," Tiana pleaded. "I do," he replied. "I know this bayou just like the back of my hand." He gave her a toothy grin. "Just trust me." Her brow pinched as she cast a quick glance over their surroundings. Something wasn't right about this. Whatever canal Lewis had guided them into was much too narrow for their boat. She could practically reach out and touch the banks of the bayou. "Lewis, I'm not sure about this," Tiana warned. "It's too narrow." She looked over the side of the boat. "And this water is too shallow." "Oh, it's not that bad," Louis said. "I promise. I know what I'm—" The sound of the boat suddenly crashing against an embankment rang out loudly in the quiet stillness of the bayou.